and I will do so until I win the lottery. I was having breakfast with a friend of mine, and I said, man, the jackpot is huge right now. I'm going to buy tickets at different stops along the way to my gig in Ohio tonight. My friend said, that's a really good idea, increase your odds, but don't get any tickets near the show because that would be a total pain in the butt. I said, I think I can manage an inconvenient drive back to Cleveland if it's to pick up $1 billion check. If that happens, Cody, I'm bringing you with me. We're going to ride in style. I'm maxing out my credit cards. We're taking a chauffeur-driven limousine all the way to the Speedway on Woodward Avenue on 590. We'll park that limo at pumps 4 through 6. And for the first time in my lifetime, it's a yes on the car wash, guys. I've been a nurse for 20 years. It's been a great, rewarding career. I've always worked in the hospital, and back in 2022, I was reflecting on, the pandemic, and I remember sitting there thinking, I think I'm one of the few healthcare workers who never got COVID. And I started nodding my head, that's pretty cool. And then I started thinking, is it though? I'm starting to feel like I missed out a little bit, guys. Like it was God's way of saying, you ain't getting 10 days off. Girl, I hope you stretched. I hope you have a yoga mat and a heating pad, because I'm going to need you to play in every quarter of this championship game. Everybody had to do whatever it took, right, to cope and get through all of that time, and I wasn't any different. I remember waking up one Saturday at the peak of it all, and I went straight to the kitchen. I walked into the pantry, I pulled out a bottle of wine, and I placed it on the kitchen island. And then I went downstairs and did some laundry. And when I came back, the bottle of wine was back in the pantry. I said, who moved the wine? And my daughter said, I did. I said, why'd you do that? She said, it's 9 a.m. I said, so? She said, well, usually when you drink, it's with other adults and Dad's not up yet. I said, Dad is not essential. Those of us who have to keep going into work every day, we get to drink as soon as we wake up. I wouldn't want the essential worker committee to stop by our house and issue a citation to find me sober. You know what I'm saying? I did a lot of stress eating throughout the pandemic. People will ask you if you gained weight in the most passive-aggressive ways. I ran into a woman at work and she sized me up and she said, did you get a boob job? I said, no, Carol, I'm just eating my feelings. What kind of monsters getting elective plastic surgery at the height of a pandemic, you guys? Can you imagine that phone call to the surgeon's office? Hi, yeah, I know there's like this international shortage on gloves, gowns, and masks. Also ventilators and anesthesia meds, but what's the soonest you could squeeze me in to put some D's in these B's? Chop, chop. Mama needs a glow up. I feel like we moved on from the pandemic real quick, Everybody was just ready to get over it. And I get it. For 2.5 years, it's all we talked about, it's all we thought about, right? And one day, people just moved on. I feel like I could have used a debrief. Like one last White House press conference to find out, what do we do with all the leftover bread flour that everybody has right now? Remember when we all started baking for a hot second? No one knew how long that apprenticeship was going to last. Just sitting there making bread. Day in and day out, until one day we all just stopped at the same time and started playing pickleball. You couldn't make bread without yeast, right? Which created a huge shortage. Couldn't find like those little, 1-ounce bags anywhere. And I remember just taking this huge sigh and just feeling like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm actually buying this 2-pound bag of yeast online. 2 pounds. Guys, it's going to take a village to get through all of that. texted all my friends and family, and I remember saying, if anybody needs yeast in the next few months, I'm your girl. When that shipment arrived, I was the prettiest girl at the party, guys. I had this whole operation running in the kitchen. I got the scale out, I started measuring in small grams, I was putting it in snack bags, dropping it off in people's mailboxes, they were picking it up at my porch. I started standing there like, is this how Walter White felt in Breaking Bad? Only it's breaking bread. I was at a meeting, and I remember giving a friend of mine at work a little bit of yeast, and my boss was like, Nardos, is that yeast? I said, it is. She said, you think I could get a couple of teaspoons of that? I said, you can get a quarter cup, I got bricks to move, let's go! Best annual review of my career, guys. I've learned not to make any assumptions about shows that I do just based on the city and its demographics, you know. I got booked in a gig in one town that's really multicultural, and I remember going there and thinking, you know, I bet there's going to be a few people, you know, in the room that look like me. They might enjoy a couple of my ethnic jokes. I got to the room. No diversity. It was fine. We had a great time, you know, but it was just always in the back of my head. After 10 minutes of being on stage, I just finally said something. I was like, where are all the black people? This guy in the fourth row said, they're bowling. I said, why would they be bowling? He said, you tell us. I said, sir, that is not a thing. Black people do not enjoy bowling any more than white people. I mean, I don't follow the sport professionally, but you've never heard of anyone taking a knee at East Brooklands. I love that our society is finally doing its part to like remove the stigma around mental health, you know? I think that's really important. I've struggled with depression in my life before. Some people swear by therapy, some people swear by medicine, and other folks just think that exercise makes a huge difference. You should do whatever works, you know? It's very important. Take care of yourself. I came up with a solution. It's pretty unique. I'm here to share it with all of you. Maybe we could go into business if anyone's interested. I feel like someone should create a car wash that's a mile long. Or one you could ride on a continuous loop for half an hour while you get your shit together. Because I don't appreciate the looks that I get from the car wash attendants when I hop right back in line. Meltdown's not over, Mr. Suds. I'm still trying to heal my inner child. Figure out why my teeth fell out in last night's dream. You ever catch a glimpse of yourself in the mirror at the very end of the car wash and you're just bawling your eyes out? And the car wash sign is like, we hope you love how new and shiny your car is. And you're like, yes, but why is it raining on the inside? Oh, man. Back in November, I went to Washington, D.C., hung out with some friends. I hadn't seen them in a long time. It was so good to catch up. It was a quick trip. I came back, and a friend of mine at work said, tell us everything. What did you do? What did you see? I said, you know, mostly we just hung out, but we did go to a winery and got a little tipsy. And then we went to a pumpkin patch and sobered up. And this guy just looked at me, and I remember it had been a long time since I'd experienced like a father's disappointment, you know? He said, how do you visit our nation's capital and not take any time to tour the historic landmarks and monuments? I said, oh, it's really easy. I'm not a high school senior with a teacher chaperone who's forcing me. Guys, I am a grown-up. I don't do anything I don't want to. You know what I'm saying? First of all, this guy's assuming that I've never been before. I have. I've done it all. Nowhere in the Constitution does it say you have to touch the Lincoln Memorial every time you go to Washington, D.C. I was there for 2 days. I'm not going to spend 6 hours of a precious Saturday running around town with a map in my hand going, this is where they do it. This is where they do it. Just like with that coworker that was so bummed out, right? If I were ever in his neck of the woods, I wouldn't grab my family, take them over to his house, pull into the driveway, point to their bedroom, and say, this is where they do it! When we were at the pumpkin patch, I asked a stranger to take our group photo. She took several pictures, and then she handed me my phone and said, let me know if you need any retakes. We were all set. She did a great job. I said, thank you so much. You know what made a difference? She gave us directions. She posed us. She said things like, hey, you in the white shirt, take 2 steps forward. You in the brown hair, why don't you pop your shoulders back a little bit? It made all the difference. But later on, I remember sitting there thinking, you know, what if she had done the same thing but just wasn't as nice? What if she had no filter like an 8-year-old child? You just picture her, she'd be like, hey, muffin top! Is that me? She's like, yeah, put your hand on your hips. And she was like, crow's feet! Is that still me? Tilt your head a little bit. I was at work trying to get from point A to point B one time. Busy hallways, you know. I overheard this lady talking to her friends. She was really excited. It was Taco Tuesday. She was going to get the ground beef ones with the soft flour tortillas. Where is HR when you need them? Tortillas. Not on my watch. I saw something, I said something. How do you live to be 50 years of age and never have that corrected? She was with her friends. Those are not friends. Those are people actively working to keep you from getting ahead at your job. Because you know one day this woman's boss is going to retire, right? They'll need to replace her, and someone's going to say, what about Barb? She's been here for 30 years, smart as a whip, always on time. She has a problem, she also has a solution. And someone's going to say, yeah, but she calls them tortillas. Screw that, give it to Megan instead. You know what? I have learned that it's important to check your mail more often than once a month. There's some important stuff in there sometimes, guys. Like food recall notices from Costco. I dusted off a letter from their headquarters that said, looks like you purchased some of our Jif brand peanut butter. We should grab some drinks and talk about what happened someday, but in the meantime, please return it for a full refund. It's a little late for that. Mama made a happy plate, you know. What happens when you eat all the recalled food, guys? Do you just go back to Costco and stand in the customer service desk and demand a physical? It would help to know what happened, right? I mean, it's pretty distressing to get a letter from the CEO just written in all caps. Oh man, a refund. Yeah. You're not getting off that easy, guys. I'm thinking something more like, you know, you all covering the full expenses of an open casket funeral is more like it. I ate 48 ounces of peanut butter, guys, and I wasn't supposed to. Oh man, my daughter was doing some back to school shopping, and she was at the Nike store online, and she was trying to buy a couple of some sweatpants in her favorite color, in her size, and they were all sold out. And that's when I heard her say, "That's okay, I'll just go look at Dick's instead." I said, "Please add sporting goods to your search engine, sweetheart." your therapy, but it is not that much. Oh, man. She's 16 at the time. We're all learning as we go, you know? I was trying to work on my, diet and exercise routine and doing some whole food stuff, which requires a lot of meal prep in the mornings, right? And I remember just sitting there trying to get all this stuff ready, and my daughter was just staring at me, judging the entire time, right? I'm Generation X, she's Generation Z, very body positive, Gen X, very self-critical, right? And, so my kid's having breakfast, and she's just staring at me as I'm making all this food for the day, and she said, you really shouldn't care that much about your weight. You look fine for your age. Also, you're married and not going anywhere. And Dad's not losing any. Well, if it isn't the queen of all TED Talks, guys. How many million views did you get when you posted that on YouTube? There are reasons besides vanity to care about your weight, guys, right? Like, 1, diabetes runs in my family. 2, it's a lot cheaper to get back into your old wardrobe than buy, like, a whole new slew of clothes, right? Seriously. It was driving me crazy when she was sitting there being so critical. Married and not going anywhere. Doesn't she sound like my husband's spy? Can't you just picture her, like, running up to him while he's trying to read a book, like, in the backyard? She's like, Dad, I found her vision board in the attic. It's just this long timeline, and she keeps losing weight, and at the very end, there's this cartoon of her with my future stepdad. We gotta do something fast. Oh, man. I do enjoy raising my family, you know. My husband and I have been married for 20 years. It's been great. Here's what's crazy. Next year, our kids are going to be seniors in high school, then they'll graduate. We'll be empty nesters. I mean, I hope. So you can imagine how nervous I felt when my husband woke up one day and said, I had a dream last night that you were pregnant. I said, oh shit. Do you know who the father was? Oh, come on, guys. 16 hours every day I'm faithful to this man. When I'm in REM sleep, things get complicated. I decided to learn a musical instrument for the first time in my life recently. Yeah, thank you. I remember being at the store, I bought an acoustic guitar. The cashier was trying to upsell me on all these accessories, and I said, just give me a month. I'm afraid this is an impulse buy. But I found an instructor online, and I've been taking weekly lessons. A year and a half later, I still play guitar. The only problem is I can't tell if I'm any good, you know, because 40-year-olds don't get recitals. But I sat there thinking, Nardos, you know, you're a comedian, you go to comic open mics, there have to be music open mics too, right? And lo and behold, I got on Facebook and I found a bunch of different options. So I signed up for a music open mic. I was driving to the show one night, started to get really nervous, and I was like, calm down. It's going to be okay. Just like comedy open mics, people are just workshopping their stuff, right? It's probably going to be a lot of, you know, like novices or hobbyists, and then there might be a couple people with experience. You've got nothing to worry about. I got to the show, you guys, and everybody was amazing. First guy they brought up, he said, I've been playing guitar for 30 years. And this next song is from my first album. What? And then the next person gets up, it's just a beautiful young lady, and she's like, I've been playing for 10 years. I've been teaching for the last 5. I've been doing mostly covers up here when I get on stage, but this next song is an original. I hope you like it. I flippin' loved it. It was great. Then this guy gets up and he's like, good evening, Grand Rapids. It's so good to be home after living in Nashville for 15 years. Where I sold a couple of songs to Luke Bryan and Trace Atkins. who's next? Ed Sheeran? What's going on here? And that's when I decided I am not going up on stage tonight. And I didn't. I just sat there in awkward silence as they called my name 3 times. It's like, I wonder who that could be. Nardos. It sounds like a fake name, right? A real person? I'm not going up, guys. Why? Why would I ruin that lovely crowd's evening, right? Get up there and do my bullshit cover of Coldplay's A Scientist. Do you know how hard it is to hide an acoustic guitar at an open mic? Most of it fits in your jacket, but the neck coming through the top is a giveaway, guys. Oh, man. I have 2 kids. I love being a mom. It's just one of the highlights of my life. Every now and then, though, you know, things get a little dicey. I was having a huge argument with one of my daughters one night. It was a Sunday night, and it was 11 p.m. My husband's already in bed, and she and I are on the other side of that wall in the kitchen just having this huge fight. And at one point, I got really frustrated. I was at my wit's end, and I said, just stop talking, okay? Just stop talking. And she said, why do you get to talk, but I have to just sit here and listen to you the whole time? I said, because we've been at it since 9 a.m. this morning. You haven't done a single chore. You haven't practiced piano. And you've got a paper that's due tomorrow, and it's in really rough shape. So I'm the only adult in this conversation. And I'm 43 years old. And I pay for everything you care about. If you don't want to lose anything this week, you will be quiet. And she went to her room, she slammed the door shut, and then my phone dinged. It was a text from my husband. He said, you're 44. I had no idea family fights were buy one, get one free that night.